welcome to the Shelly Studio. Today I am going to make this book, and hopefully the instructions will be kind of clear. First, I am creating 4 signatures. So I'm taking a 12 by 7 sheet of paper, scoring at a 1/4 inch, and then 5 1/4 inch and 10 1/4 inch, and folding it, and that is going to be the base. Okay, so on this little journal, flip book, whatever you want to call it, normally I just wing it, but I'm trying to make it more organized, and hopefully it'll make some more sense. But I have the main pages. Okay, I've got 4 of these pages. And I'm thinking, I was going to do it as a flap, but I'm thinking I might just turn this into pocket on that side. And then I have pieces for pockets, okay? And then I have pieces for a down flap, and I don't know what side it'll be on. In fact, each one might end up being a little different. And then I have a double flap, like 2 flaps, so it could either go together and be kind of like a doorway. If I do that, I will probably shorten this if I do it where it's together, just to make sure they don't interfere with each other, and I kind of like the door idea. So those are all my pieces and parts, and I have couple of pieces of really small corrugated. Like, I went looking today, and today was recycle day. I've already thrown everything away except for this one box. So I'm going to cover these just with some white paper to begin with, and then I'm going to let those sit and dry under weight so they stay flat, and then I will start putting this together while that's drying, and do the voiceover as usual. That's the base, and then we'll come in with the colored paper. And as I'm putting it together in the voiceover, I will give you the measurements of everything. But I thought I'd show you everything to begin with, and yeah. So let's get started. So I'm starting with my cover. Sorry, I put some glue down and I stuck it down, and you didn't see that part. I don't know if the camera wasn't going, what happened. But my glue is a little too wet and my paper's a little too soft. If you do this with copy paper, try to get a higher quality copy paper. I mean, this works okay because really the only part you're going to see on this of the paper is the very edge, because I'm going to put the decorative paper over the top. But yeah, it just made it a little bit more difficult to make it nice and neat with the quality of paper I was using. But I do now have better paper, so hoping that will be better for future. So the cover I am making 5.5 by 7.5. Since my other is, what did I do? I did 7 tall and then 5 wide. So it gives plenty of space for the insides to fit nicely. Gives a 1/2 inch. That's like 1/4 inch on each side, basically. And then I just cut the copy paper just a little bit bigger. Yeah, anyway, I could have used craft paper. I didn't want anything too stiff to wrap around the edges. That's why I went for the copy paper. Because, I mean, I do have cardstock, but I like to use something a little bit thinner than cardstock to wrap around. And, yeah. My glue, like I said, my glue's a little too watered down. The second one I do a little bit thicker, but I didn't film record both. I didn't think you need to see this part more than once. Because if you've watched any bookmaking videos, I'm sure you've seen this particular step before. And I am covering them completely just to be prepared. And I just cut a piece of copy paper to fit. I keep putting the glue over it because it's drying so fast, and you don't want any air bubbles, so you want to make sure that that glue is still wet when you put the paper down. And it's really dry here the day I was doing this, so it was drying really fast. Okay, so I've got that done. And I also do the spine and everything. And I've got them laying flat to dry. So now I'm going to take I'm going to call them signatures. And I'm going to glue the different flaps that I've created onto the signatures. Now this one was I'm calling it the top flap, and I made it 5 by 3 3/4, but the 5 was just a little bit too long to go inside the folded area, so I trimmed that. The ones where I glue them on the outside of the fold, that wasn't an issue. It was like flush. But, yeah, so, and they've got, I measured them, this one is 5 by 4 3/4. I didn't give them an extra 1/4 inch for the fold. I just fold it from there. So it's what, 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. It should be about square. It's not, but it should be. Well, yeah, anyway. This is me. I just wing it. I'm trying to be good and measure for you, and I took the measurements of them just to make sure. So, there's 2 side flaps. One is 5 by 5, and the other one is 5 by 3.5. I did trim down the 5 by 5. That's this one. But if you make this, you can make it whatever size you want. You do not have to follow these measurements. Sorry, that one cut out for some reason. But I put the longer one on one side, shorter one on the other side. And they don't have to go next to each other. They can go any way you want them to go. This is just what I decided to do on this one. At the very end, I'll have a flip through so you can see the book and the different ways that I have the flaps in there. Okay, so now is the tedious part. And you could, do all that measuring and stuff, but I've got the bases all put together. As you can see, they flap different directions. I did add one extra flap on one of them just because I felt like it. I have these, they're going to be pockets, but I'm going to do them after I put the pretty paper on. So what I'm going to do now is get my scrapbook paper out, and this is why it's tedious. I measure this, cut it, glue it, and I do each one. Yeah, there's some of them that are all the same, like some of these sizes are the same, but I did adjust a few of them so they won't all be the same. But if you do them all exactly the same, you can measure 1 and cut 4, because I have 4 sections, remember? So yeah, but that is the next part. I think I might go through measure cut, put them in order, and then glue, and maybe do a voiceover while I'm gluing a few of them so you can see what I do. And then after those are on, that's when I will take these flaps and construct the book that's sitting under here trying to dry flat, and glue these in, and hopefully add a little scrapbook paper in between the two so it looks pretty in there. Okay, we'll go to that point. Okay, so this is the paper I'm going to be using. That's why I used white as the background, because this has a white, kind of a white base. I'm not going to ink anything, but I have cut the papers out of this pack, and I actually, now when I've done it before, I've just cut and glued and cut and glued. I think I said that before earlier, but this time I tried to organize it, so I've numbered, I've cut them, so I did measure and then cut, measure and cut, but I've numbered them so I know where they go. But I've just done it 1/8 of an inch smaller, approximately. Like this is how I work, you know. This is like the idiot's guide to making your own folio or something. or album, or whatever you want to call this thing. So, because this is how I do it. I'm not good at measuring. Like, I measure and I cut, and nothing ever goes perfectly straight. Look, that's crooked right there. And I use a trimmer. Well, there was one thing I did scissors on, isn't there? But I use a trimmer. So I don't know how it never ever ends up perfect. Like some of those people on YouTube, they have like absolutely crisp, perfect. That's not me. So if you're here for crisp and perfect, you're not going to get it. But I like curvy corners. So anywhere that there's an open flap, I'm going to curve the corners. I'm trying to decide if I want a big curve or a small curve. And I'm thinking I want the bigger curve. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to decide this is the bottom, and I'm going to curve it, round it. That's what we should be saying, right? Round the corners, curve the corners. I'm going to round the corners on that, and then round the corners on this. And you know, I was so excited to buy this corner rounder and so disappointed in its quality. Like, first of all, I need to empty the pieces out of there, but I can't get it lined up where there's not some notch. So, again, that's, you know, that's me. And so, yeah, I'm just going to take each piece, do that to it, glue it on. I'm not doing any inking. This is going to someone tomorrow. Hopefully I will have it done. It's now, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night. So I am going to try and get it all glued and then just put it under weight, and then I'll assemble it tomorrow. And I'm going to fast forward. I'll do like one section so you can see me do it. And then the rest of them, because I've got 4 sections, the rest of them I'll just do off camera. Alright, let's go for it. So basically I'm doing panels for each section, and I am just using my glitter glue, and it's being stubborn coming out. There we go. And just with each piece of paper I'm going to decide which way is up. Hopefully I kept track of that, and glue it on. And try to center it as best I can without making too big of a mess. And that paper pack has, I don't remember how many different patterns, but I decided I have on the standard signature, we're calling them signatures, there are 11 spots for paper to put on. So I picked 11 different patterns out of that scrapbook and trying not to repeat. Now, when it comes to putting the additional pocket on, which will come later, and adding journaling cards, which will come later, I use up the scraps I have, and then I pick yet another pattern so that once I've used up the paper, everything I can use up. So I just have the smallest little bits left. then I go for another piece of paper. But I don't want the same paper in the same place, if that makes sense. Here I'm trying to remember which way that one goes because the measurements are not exactly square. So I just have to figure that out around my corners and glue it down. So yeah, at this point it's pretty basic. It does end up taking me, between all of this, I got done gluing everything together at 2:30 in the morning. Then I went to bed. Yeah. Have really never been a night owl by nature, and now that I'm getting older, I'm less and less of a night owl. So that was rough. And I sat in that chair getting this done for hours on end. Like I could barely walk. By the time I was done, I'd stiffened up so much sitting in that chair. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I don't recommend, doing this quickly. The first one I did took me a week, and I worked, on it for several hours a day. This one was like fast. Well, I didn't think of creating one of these for the bridal shower I was going to until Friday, and it was on Saturday night. So, then I thought, oh, I should do one of those. And I should make it the one where I show everybody how I created it on YouTube. Of course. Why wouldn't I do that at the last minute? I still want to make one for myself. I still don't have one for myself. Yeah. So I have to decide what colors I want for myself. I mean, I like these colors. I think if I do it, I might buy me something, maybe a blue to go as the base color where you make the initial signatures. And then put these on. I don't know. How'd that look? Or something. I could do gray. Gray would go with everything. Black, I think, would be too dark. Maybe a dark, like a charcoal gray. You'll have to give me your opinion, what you think. Anyways, you can see I numbered each of these panels, so you'll know how many. That's how I know there were 11. There is one that had 13, because I added an extra flap to it. But I don't think maybe it's this one. It's the one I'm showing you. That's funny. In fact, I think the number 13, you'll see in a little while that I had to modify my plan. This particular signature does not make the final cut. Oh, and I leave that in too. You don't see me ripping the thing out of the book, but you'll see it anyway. I made P&M Artist Studios. I know I've been quoting them a lot lately, but I've been watching their YouTube live videos, and they did one. They had a fortune cookie that's read, "Be prepared to modify your plan." Well, when you're creating, and when you create like I do, you're always modifying your plan. So that's nothing new. No surprise there. And it's probably a good thing this is the one that ends up coming out, because that top flap didn't get put in straight, and it has a little bit of a pucker. You can see where the 11 is up there. You can see the shadow. Just wasn't quite smooth. I'm pretty sure there's 11 on the standard I don't know. Anyway, I could just keep talking. So what do you think of the colors? What would you put with it? Is it too busy? It is kind of busy. It does end up being kind of busy, but it's fun. Maybe if I'd have inked it, you know, done like blue ink and green ink around, or gray. But I didn't have time for that to get this done in less than 24 hours. Was a feat, in my opinion. Again, rounding the edges and gluing it down. This one is kind of one of my longer videos just because it has all the steps. Even though I've sped it up, there are some sections that are real time because I talked through it. I don't know how people can talk and craft. Like, there's a lot of people that talk the whole time they're creating. I just don't know how you do that. I can't even talk when I'm not crafting. I'm voicing over. Sorry for the silence. This is when I wish I had music going. So this went for a bridal shower, so flowers are fine for that, right? Oh, here I glue this. I'm getting ready to make it a pocket, and then I remember I want to have the little divot in it, and I am using my envelope maker to create the divot, and I'm trying to make sure I get it as close to the middle as possible. Well, it's kind of hard to line that up and put that divot in. And I'm sorry it cuts out, but I did put the side panel on that number 13 for that little side pocket. And yeah, you can see it there really quickly. And I went ahead and covered the pockets that I had set aside. And the pockets are 4 7/8 by 2.5. So they're just shy of the 5. So they would fit comfortably. And I'm just going to glue one on each of the signatures, if I can get my glue to go. And then I created journaling cards to go in all of the pockets. And I forgot that I had the side pocket and the pocket I just glued. So I needed 8, not just 4. So I do go back and I make more. But it's just on the white cardstock, rounded corners, and they're just going to slip in like that. But I am going to let that glue dry before I continue with that. Okay, so now it's the next morning. Hopefully everything's dry and flat. And I am going to make my covers. And I bought these magnets. I thought they would be good. They're kind of thick. Like, I got them on Amazon. They called them rare earth magnets. They looked pretty flat. This has got a little bit of thickness, this corrugated cardboard, so I do kind of push it down with the back of a pen. Just to try and make it sink down a little further. You can see me just pushing like go down further. But, yeah. So I'm gluing on the magnet, and then I will cover with the paper. And, yeah. I just keep pushing, keep hoping that it's going to get down there further. This is my first time using magnets in my book. And yeah, so this is definitely a trial experiment for me. So I glue that down. It's still raised, so I do clamp it around that magnet so that the paper will stay down. I do end up with a little bit of an air pocket, so if I do this again, I will probably carve out, like if I have something on before I start, I will carve out the hole to really make it sink down. Same thing with the flap that I end up having the other magnet on. It sticks out quite a bit too. I don't know that I'd be able to cure that. Like I said, they're thin magnets, but they still have thickness to them, you know what I mean? So I'm rounding one end, that's going to be the front flap, and the plan is to hide the other half under the back cover. Though I think if I rounded them both, it would have been fine on the surface and probably would have looked better, but you'll get the flip through, you'll get to see the front and the back. And this, I'm just gluing it down. Now, I did remember to check which side needed to go down because magnets have polarity, and if I'd have gone the wrong way, it would have resisted. So, I do have it the right way. And the pink is going to be the underside, and then the blue will be the top side, because I thought the blue went well with that kind of green paper that I've got on the cover. And I do stick these under weight and let them dry for a little bit. Give them some time to get used to each other. See, there, it sticks. Now, I decide I'm going to score it right at the right where it should fold. And then I wanted it to dry completely before I scored and folded it. I figured that would be for the best. And hopefully it lasts long enough. This part I wasn't sure. I wasn't quite sure. I'm like, okay, here's my spine, and here's my cover, and the other cover, and I'm trying to measure that. I don't know why I felt like I needed to put that ruler there, but hey, I'm trying to be good and measure, right? One thing you don't see me do, and I've seen somebody else do it, they've taken those edges, those folded corners, and kind of tap them with a bone folder, just to like, I don't know if that helps, but I did it. Alright, so this is the back. I've glued the flap down, and now I'm putting the back piece on. Sorry if that wasn't very clear, but that's what I was doing. Those are now sitting with weight on them while I put my spine together. So I have a piece of fabric. It's not book cloth, but it's kind of stiff. It's probably like some sort of upholstery fabric. It's got some sort of glue or something on the back side, and then the front side looks nice. So you're seeing the back side of the fabric right now. And I'm using Eileen's Tacky. I don't know if that's better or worse than the glitter glue, but I had it, and I thought it would be good. I could get it more volume on there. Smear that in. And now I'm going to take each of the signature covers, like the back cover, which is what this is, and we're going to glue it on. Trying to get my glue to come out. And I think the spine piece is 1 inch wide by 7.5, and then the fabric is about 3 inches by 7.5. I didn't want it to be too wide to cover up too much of the front and back of the book. But you got to have enough so that it will hold well, right? And leaving a gap so that the book will fold nice. I just held it down there for a minute. And now I have a piece of, I guess, muslin. I've had it for a while, but I would guess it's like a muslin kind of fabric that I'm putting on the inside. And I chose not to put any glue down in the gaps. I didn't want the hinges of the book, or the gaps right there, to be hard and stiff. So I didn't put any glue down in that. A lot of times people do, and most glue is pretty flexible, but I have made a spine where I put too much glue down there, and it was really stiff. And I like it to be able to open and close really easily, so I didn't do it. Okay, so here it is, and we're going to put these two as the inside papers. 2 more patterns. And I'm looking at that now. I don't know that there's really a direction to the paper, but I think it's upside down. That main rose looks like it's upside down. They'll never know. I think the person I gave this to does not watch YouTube, so she'll never know. Oh, that one went upside up. Oh, that's good. We'll see if the other one ends up upside up. So a lot of people, when they're gluing things, they use a cloth to pat them down, so their fingers don't end up covered in glue. Yeah, I just used my sleeves. I don't know if that was a conscious thing or if I intentionally wanted to use my sleeves. They're probably covered in glue. Oh, look, it's upside up. So, no worries. It's all good. I just didn't want glue all over my fingers. So, why not get it on my jacket? I don't know. So, I have to train the little fabric to go down, but that's that's the problem if you don't glue down there. And there we have it. Now we have to put the stuff inside. Okay, so I have 1/4 of an inch on each of these sections, and that's what I'm going to glue into the spine. Now, here's where it would have been better if they were maybe 1/2 inch. And, I don't have my other ones to look at to compare to. I think I did them at 1/4 of an inch as well, but I think I had more of an even balance. Like, they went in and there was even flaps and stuff on either side, where this one, most of the flaps are on one side and the fold. So I think 1/2 inch would be better, and only gluing 1/4 of an inch of that to the spine to give it space to roll over, if that makes sense. And another hello, pay attention thing, probably because I was tired from not sleeping the night before, I didn't even center them up and down in the spine. I glue them down. I think I get to the third one and I'm like, this one's not even aligned with the last one. So I'm just sticking them in, making sure the flaps that flip up are in the upper level. And yeah, that second one is the one I end up pulling out. This one is going to go back onto that one, and we're just going to keep gluing. I didn't want too big of a spine, so that's part of the reason I made these only 1/4 of an inch. But like I said, 1/2 inch would have been better. A little bit, give them a little bit more space in between each one would have been better. There's always something, There's always something that could have been done better. And I'm trying to put my pockets in while I'm gluing them. They totally did not need to go in at that exact moment. I don't know why I felt like it needed to be in there. I don't know. And I'm going to glue this one down. And for this, I am using the glitter glue. See, and I stick this one down. Look how far down. Like, I end up pushing it up. Like, after I pat it, I'm like, oh, let's see if we can push that up a little ways. But it's homemade. It's all good. So I'm just putting the cards in the pockets. Just so they're all in there. And I let it dry for a few minutes, not long enough, and flip through it with you. Okay, here it is. Things are still drying. Oh, I need to stamp it. Make sure I get that right. I thought about stamping this paper before, and then I just didn't do it. Yeah. Hopefully that's juicy enough. We're just going to put it right here. It's a little crooked, but there we go. See, I use that for everything. Like, blotting off. I have a piece of paper. Oh, yeah. That one has measurements. Okay. Shall we take a look? So yeah, this is like, I consider it the idiot's way of making a, I don't know, is it a flip book? A folio? It's a lot of pattern. I don't know if my camera is washing these colors out. They're a little light. We have that. And you turn the page here. Got your your journaling spot or whatever you want it to be. Flipping up. Another one right here. Then close that, and then that's gotta go. Ooh, this is okay. This is traumatic. This should lay flat. Is it not gonna lay flat? Oh, there we go. There we go. Might be a little difficult. There we go. So I did that one. I made these sections 1/4 of an inch. I would think I would do them 1/2 an inch. Give them a little bit more space in between, then it would lay flat better. I can't remember the measurements I did on the last one. So it's all... I feel like there's something there, but there's not. Flips, flops. Journaling guard. They're a little snug in there. I did that one right. We saw that one. Then you come over here. Oh, it's not dry yet. Oh, I guess I need to... I'm going to have to deal with that. It's not dry yet. Alright. I'm going to deal. We'll be back. To quote Patricia and Mariah, be prepared to modify your plan. So I removed a signature because it didn't have enough room to really flip out. This should have been longer than 1/4 of an inch. Maybe 1/4 of an inch of movement and another 1/4 of an inch to glue it. That would have helped it roll over. Because see how thick, I don't know if you can tell. It's kind of hard. It's not in focus. See how thick that is? That doesn't give it any space to roll over. So, I am doing this part before I do the voiceover, so I will try to explain that as I go. But so here it is. You can tell it's got a little more gappage in there. I've never done one with a magnet. I just bought the magnets and thought it would be fun. And it works. And when they put pictures and stuff in it, it'll probably need that, right? I don't know. Anyway. So the hope is that they'll be able to open this and have it work a little bit better with just 3 signatures. So flipping through it again. I don't know if I edit that out, if it's my previous flip through might be deleted. Still does that, like it still does that, but it doesn't fall down. It's just this page creates sort of a, I don't know. Anyway, so that's as flat as it's going to go. That's where I patched the spot. So it is slightly blue rather than pure white. But there's this section, and then this section. The pockets on the sides here, and then this section. So it all lays down pretty good. It's just this one spot that's a little bit bulky that kind of flips out. You know, if no, I'm not going to do it. I was thinking if I had thought about it preemptively, I could put a magnet in there and that would hold it flush so it would lay flat better. But there we go. What do you think? Do you like it? I like it. Hopefully my instructions were clear enough. Like I said, idiot's guide, because the idiot's the one creating it and I'm not good at smooth and perfect, as you can see. But it works and I think it's kind of cute. Anyways, I hope you liked this video. If you did, leave me a thumbs up or comment. Appreciate all your comments. thank you all for watching. Have an awesome day.